probably of any of these items, the most misunderstood piece is this. Like, I had clients that came in right after it got passed, and they said, so Social Security is no longer taxable, right? Because that was out there. That's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
I think Trump's even kind of said, like, they say it in a somewhat misleading way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just take their word for it, what they say, it sounds kind of better than it really is.
All thoughts and opinions shared in this recording belong to the participants. This podcast is meant to inform and educate and should not be seen as solicitation or endorsement for business.
Welcome to the Market Moment. This is Matt Walters here with John Martfeld.
Morning.
And Isaac Johnson.
Hello.
And today we're going to talk about taxes. So I brought my coffee so I could stay awake because this is super boring stuff. But it's very important. So the new tax bill came out. So we're going to go through kind of the top 10 takeaways.
The OBBB.
The OBBB.
That's how you say it.
Okay. So like I said, or like I was trying to say, we're talking about the tax bill, top 10 takeaways from that. Before we jump into that, anything exciting going on in y'all's lives?
No,
Isaac, you have a baby.
I have a baby. Everything's exciting. I'm mortal enemies with the sun.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's way too hot to just do
for you.
anything. Yeah. Like, because he just wants to go outside, and it's like, hey, man.
Yeah.
No.
There's not
just not going to do that.
He's learning the word no.
Yes.
That's good.
Not
much. Golfing a little bit, but,
Yeah.
it's a hot summer, and there's no real sports going on right now. I mean, I'm not a huge baseball fan, so I don't
kind
really.
of dog days of summer. If
It's
you're
a
not
dog
in a
days of
pool
summer,
or
yeah.
at the lake, it's kind of tough.
It's tough. Yeah, I mean, I still enjoy the heat over the cold. I will always say that. It's just there's not much. I always look forward to NFL or college basketball or something. We're just kind of in that lull period.
Yep. Getting
Enjoying
close.
all that.
Anything
getting
going on
close.
with
I mean, I'm homeless,
you? Yeah.
so that's a big deal right now. We're not going to get into that, but yeah, we're couch surfing, so all kinds of fun.
His floors are being. He's not literally
Yeah.
homeless. His floors are being redone.
Okay, so tax bill. So this was a big deal. This was, if Trump and the current administration didn't get this done, I mean, that was going to be kind
Trouble.
of a scar on them that I don't know if they were going to be able to overcome, to be honest. I
Yeah.
mean, this was expected by everybody who voted for him. Some of these were just kind of like table stakes to doing what they said they were going to do. And so this was good that they were able to get something done. Obviously, you always have not everyone agreeing with everything, but there's a handful of really good things in here that I think were impactful. I'll kind of start us off, and then we'll kind of go back and forth on teeing up these 10 different takeaways from the tax bill. But probably the most impactful for the most amount of people was just that the tax cuts from the 2017 Trump tax bill were made permanent. Mm-hmm. So we've been doing a lot of planning over the last few years with the hopes that they would be permanent, but with no guarantees.
Right.
And the original 2017 cuts were supposed to sunset at the end of this year. And so this was 2025 was kind of the last year that, the 12% was the 12% versus the 15%. And a lot of those brackets went down by 2 or 3%. And so those rates and those brackets were made permanent, which is huge.
Huge, yeah. Would have been the highest tax increase in U.S. history had this not happened. And to your point, kind of almost like a layup. They had to get this done.
Right.
But it would have created a massive problem, scare on Wall Street and everything else had they not got it done.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that got
So those
done.
are permanent. So now it will take – it's not just an extension. Now it would take another act of Congress to change them.
To change it,
right?
yeah.
So they could change them, obviously, but it would have to be done within
the hard way.
Yeah. All right, John, what do we have next?
All right, higher standard deduction amount made permanent. Again, does everybody have their coffee? Because this stuff is going to get really boring.
Yeah, you said that really slow. But
yeah, I know. All right, so starting in 2025, the standard deduction amount will be $31,500 for joint filers, $15,750 for single filers. One key thing in here, we're going to add adjusted for inflation in subsequent tax years. So going forward, it's going to actually increase every year, which I do think is a pretty big deal because when they made this in 2017, it was it kind of kept a lot of people from having to do itemized deduction because the standard deduction went so high. Now it's going to keep increasing.
Well,
so it's a good.
Yeah, and it's so high. Well, and it's been that way that like you have conversations with people, mainly like if I talk with my friends, young professionals, conversations about like keeping debt because they're writing off their interest, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm going to buy this because I can write it off. And it's like, well, dude, you're taking the standard deduction anyways.
Yeah.
So
Exactly.
that's not helping you at all because it's so high.
2016, the standard deduction for joint filers was $12,600.
Yeah,
I mean, that's amazing.
I had to Google that because I forgot how low
that's
it was.
The joint number.
So
that was
low.
the joint number.
Crazy.
So and now we're at 31.5,
and it's going to keep going up.
And it's been it's almost 10 years, so you'd hope it had gone up some, but that's substantial. So that's another almost $20,000 of standard deduction for people. So that was very impactful. Isaac, what do we have next?
Yeah, so the one that doesn't really affect most people, the estate tax exemption being made permanent. So basically, for a joint household, anything over $30 million that you pass on to beneficiaries, your heirs, would be taxed at estate tax rates, which are upwards of 50%.
40 to 50%.
So if you're worth less than $30 million
and you're married,
it's $15 million for single, you're good.
Yeah,
you don't have to worry about that.
So definitely there's a lot of people in Northwest Arkansas that this does apply to, obviously, but the vast majority of the population.
And it gets sneaky for people like that people don't think about as like farmland, right? And they put some stuff in here that you can stretch that out now,
right? Which is helpful.
Which is very helpful.
Yeah, but it's those types of things that people don't think about. They're like, oh well, I don't have $15 million of stocks, I don't have to worry about this, and it's your entire
family business,
picture. Yes.
Ag.
How old is Graham right now?
Year and a half.
Okay, when you were a year and a half old, okay, going back when I started this industry, do you know that it was $1 million?
Yeah.
So when we did estate planning, it was a big deal, right? I mean, anything over $1 million was taxed at basically 50 cents on the dollar. And Northwest Arkansas, the Walmart stockholders, the farmers, the land was booming. The estate tax issue was a big deal around here. Seems so out, like so much protection now.
The only
estate
concern
tax,
I have with this is, which I think this is great. I think these levels. I mean, I don't believe in an estate tax at all.
Me neither.
But
I don't either. Yeah.
These are, if you're going to have one, these are
have it high,
reasonable levels.
Yeah.
But my only concern is just like this is the easiest thing for, them to go after.
Yeah.
When they want to start trying to unwind this at some point. When when conservatives don't have control. This is one very easy thing to say, like, okay, well, we're not going to do these things, but we're going to drop the estate. So it really, I'm almost like whining now because it makes it hard to plan, right?
Right.
Like with clients that we're working with that do have this issue or could have this issue, it's hard because it's like, well, this is great now. Maybe you don't need it, but if they cut it in half, all of a sudden now you have a pretty big problem.
Right.
Because I do see it being one of the things that like I would expect to change over time.
I agree with you. It's a massive increase over the last 20 years to get to this point. But I agree with Matt. It's a political football that will probably change. And the planning you're doing now, if you don't, it kind of stinks because you have people that you could plan for that if this falls down and then they're in a different health bracket, different situation, you may not be able to help them.
Yeah.
That is.
So it's really hard to plan. It's a great level. Don't like estate taxes at all.
Exactly.
But,
I agree totally.
I'm glad that it's as high as it is.
Yeah.
So the SALT itemized deduction cap increase, so the state and local income tax. This mainly affected, there's a lot of people in 2017 in like New York, California that were really upset because they were the ones that benefited the most from this. So it allowed you to deduct your state and local taxes. So your really high state income tax states, this was a big deal. So the previous, cap was $10,000, which is pretty low. I mean, to be honest.
Right.
And so this new legislation increased that to $40,000 for 2025 and increases by 1% through 2029. So subject to a phase out for taxpayers with incomes above $500,000. In 2030, the cap reduces back down to $10,000. So you've got a window here, kind of like the last tax cut, right? It like sunsets back to the old here in like 5 years. But it gives you a window of another $30,000 as long as you make below $500,000. So since we don't live in New York and California, we're going to
no
move on.
We're good.
Okay.
We're moving on.
All right. John, why don't you cover
All right,
number
this
5?
this one is a big one,
big,
I
yeah.
think. Enhanced income tax deduction for seniors, and we've had already some questions about this. Already been involved in some planning. A new deduction is created for people 65 or older of $6,000 per eligible filer with a modified adjusted gross income that does not exceed $75,000 for single, $150,000 for married, $150,000. The deduction is allowed for tax years 25 through 28. There's a little caveat here, though. 25 is not the full 6,000.
Yeah.
And I believe it's 1,600 per person, so 3,200 per couple. But in 26, 27, 28, it will be 12,000 per couple of a actual added deduction, which is big.
And I think probably of any of these items, the most misunderstood piece is this. Like I had clients that came in right after it got passed, and they said, "So Social Security is no longer taxable, right?" Because that was out there. That's what they were talking about.
Yeah.
I think Trump's even kind of said like they say it in a somewhat misleading way.
Yeah.
I mean, if you just take their word for it, what they say, it sounds kind of better than it really is. That said, this is huge. A lot of retirees married filing joint, are living on $150,000 or less.
Right.
Even if you have a really large portfolio.
Exactly.
That's a reasonable retirement income. And so, $6,000 per filer, that's $12,000 of an additional deduction.
So on top of the standard deduction.
Yeah.
So that's a pretty big deal.
Yeah, so you're talking about having 43.5 of deductions, right out the gate. And so if your income's $100,000, now half of it is immediately gone almost.
Yeah, you don't have to pay tax. And it helps us with planning for all the things that we do for our clients.
Yeah.
For different taxable events that we create, on purpose. So anyway.
Great.
Isaac, what do you got?
Yeah, so another one that I think me and John were joking before the cameras turned on, you can deduct tips now. So for years 2025 through 2028, you can up to $25,000 of tips can be deducted. And I was kind of saying, well, people don't report them anyways, so it doesn't really, who does this affect? And John made a good point of like the companies that do tip pooling probably is one where tip share.
Yeah.
Well, I think a lot more tips are reported now a lot of tips, like I never tip in cash anymore.
Makes sense.
Right.
I always tip in cash. You get better service. Because they don't report on taxes.
You're way more thoughtful.
Yeah. Didn't think about that, Isaac. That's a good point.
But yeah, I don't really. My point doesn't really mean anything.
So it does matter to those that have
cards, for sure.
Yeah, it does matter because a lot of the industry, like let's say New York, where you're high taxed on everything, and if they're tip pooling, which a lot of them do now, this does affect them positively, pretty dramatically. So I think it does help a good percentage of people out there.
Yeah,
just not maybe everybody.
And there's a phase out over certain income levels, 150 for single, 300 for joint, and this is yet again another thing that sunsets and goes away after 2028.
When you see all these sunsets, it shows you how hard it is to get a bill through Congress, right? Yeah. They said that somebody was really high on this or the last one, and they agreed to it, but they gave it a sunset. Right. So that's how they agreed to it. So people against it, so on. But I kind of hate seeing the sunset in 2028. That's going to be here before you know it. Anyway.
Yeah. Number 7, reduce income tax on overtime. So again, 2025 through 2028, up to $25,000 of overtime compensation can be deducted. So this is exact same kind of structure as the tip income.
Yeah.
12.5 for single, 25 for married filing joint that you can deduct, and it's on the same phase out, 150 single, 300 for joint. So whether you have tip, income, overtime income, there's now an additional deduction that you can take.
I do think there are a lot of people they will be very happy about this. I do think the tip one and the overtime one are fantastic for those that it helps. Again, hate that it phases out in 2028, but anyway.
So the next one, car dealerships and car salesmen are going to be really happy. And I don't say that sarcastically. Like, this is a big deal for them. It's going to be helpful for a lot of people. 2025 through 2028, auto loan interest is made deductible for new autos with final assembly in the United States. So this isn't like, go buy a Volkswagen from the used car dealership, right? This is for new autos. Final assembly in the U.S. The total deduction is limited to $10,000 and phases out when income exceeds $100 for single filers, and $200,000 for joint filers. But again, this is a big deal with rates being higher. makes a new car more affordable.
Yeah.
It incentivizes buying, U.S. assembled vehicles. So I think that's
all we need to say about
yeah. I think that's fine.
That's good though. Yeah.
And Eli, just so y'all know, Eli did a video like a week ago that's way better than this. It covers the taxes.
Maybe smoother.
Yeah, he's a little more polished. But to go check that out, we're covering some of the top 10 highlights. He's covered a lot of the same things and some additional things. So
a little more detail. Yeah.
Go check that out for sure. Number 9, the child tax credit increased and made permanent. So Isaac, what is?
Yeah, no, that's big. Mainly for a few reasons. One, a good chunk of that is refundable. So I think the number is $1,700. So if you take the tax credit for having a child, and you don't use it all, you actually get that added onto your refund.
Nice.
Which I think is really nice.
Yeah.
It's good.
I actually didn't know that.
Yeah. And so it's not the whole, the 2,200 and 2026, it's not the whole amount. I think it's, like I said, I think it's 1,700. But yeah, if you don't use it, it comes back to you. So it's almost a no-brainer.
And I don't see where this one sunsets.
Yeah.
So
No, I don't either. That's good.
So that's a good one. And then John, you said this. You thought this was the most impactful. This was just a huge
this is
deal.
number 10 on our list, which means it's the least.
It should probably
impactful.
be number 20.
It should probably be number 50.
We say it sarcastically. It's not. It's not nothing.
It's not nothing,
and it could be meaningful for certain people.
Yeah.
But I don't know.
Yeah, I'll read it and we can kind of. Yeah, it's kind of a.
Well, let's tell them what
quirky.
we're talking about before.
The OBBB creates a new savings account for children. Parents would be able to contribute up to $5,000 a year, and it also permits a one-time deposit of $1,000 from the federal government for those born in 2025 through 2028. When was Graham born?
24.
Miss it.
I know.
All right, so babies born 2025 through 2028 will get a one-time $1,000 deposit from the federal government added to this account, the savings account for children, and the parents are able to contribute up to $5,000 a year, and I'm assuming it's during that 25 through 28 period. This is why I don't necessarily think it's going to be that impactful, and not very many people are going to do it because
it's got some weird stipulations to it.
It does. You can invest it like it's an account.
It has investments like similar to a 529, like it's set up with some parameters.
We can't pick them for them.
But it's tax deferred, so it has like a weird nature. Like you'll have to roll it over eventually. I don't know the ins and outs of it. Yeah, but it sounds great when you're talking about it.
Yeah.
And you look at it and it's like, well,
I haven't dug into it at all to really speak to it.
It seems like there's just better places to save money for your child.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to replace a lot of the UTMAs, the 529s.
Right.
There's so many other ways to do this. But if you get the $1,000 credit, I guess 25 through 28 children born, I would probably, that's when I would maybe say that you should do that. Get the $1,000.
Might as well open it.
By all means.
Yeah. And that goes a long ways over time. Obviously, when the child's 18, that $1,000 can help you with all kinds of things in college and so on. So it's a little bit good. It's just something probably not going to affect very many people.
Right.
Yeah. So obviously all of these will impact some people. There's probably 5 or 6 of them that will impact a lot of people.
Yeah.
And some really important ones, again, kind of going back to number 1, the tax cuts, I think being the biggest deal, they're made permanent. So it's already started to change our planning conversations internally. Now we don't have to worry about trying to cram everything into this year. We can continue to extend it out with Roth conversions and tax planning and all those kinds of things. And maybe even do more of it because for our retired clients, if they get another $12,000 deduction, on Social Security. So a lot of really good things in here. I was glad they got it done. It's always a mess. It's always super discouraging watching them
try to get
work
stuff
the way
done.
they work and
to
get things done. And you're like, is this really
how
we have to operate?
Yeah.
But I was glad. Nonetheless, I was glad to see that they got something done. So, any parting thoughts or ideas?
Nothing
no, it's interesting that talk about the lull of summer, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you've got the Iran-Israel thing seems to be cooling down, although Iran came out and said that they're going to continue to try to make a nuclear weapon, which is just frustrating. But that's cooling off, and you've got the big, beautiful bill passed, so that's kind of out of our deal. The Fed chairman and Trump are in a spat that will continue until May, so that's no new news there. It's kind of a dead period. We're going to have a lot of things that happen, this fall with the October budget talks for 2026. I think being the next heated stuff, unless barring something unfortunate in between now and then. But it's kind of a lull time of year.
It's been a crazy, when you think back to the start of the year, it's been a crazy year with everything that's gone on.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And the market's gotten through it, and we're at all-time highs, near
Keeps
all-time
climbing.
highs. And so the market wants to go higher.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like the momentum is on the side of going higher. And until something, out of left field stops that, I think the market's going to want to continue to grind higher for a while. So, what's your end of your S&P 500? I'm just kidding. So, anyways, it's kind of crazy that we're at where we're at with everything that's gone on in the last 6 or 7 months.
There's enough that's happened in the last 6 months that if the market wanted to fall, it would have fallen.
Yeah,
there's enough bad things that happen, bad news.
Well said.
I'm interested to watch this earnings season come through.
Yeah, it's
right.
Going to be.
And, we had all the early year tariff scare that everybody was freaking out about. See how that really affected. The books. Is that going to show up? I know Google and Tesla report tomorrow, and so we're getting into kind of those big tech names reporting.
I do think on the tariff talk, and I've listened and tried to get as much information I can on the tariffs, how it's really affecting. It is not negatively affecting, as our chairman Powell is saying, that's going to cause inflation. If you look across the board, it's inflating certain things, yes, but that just creates American buyers to buy something else, right? It kind of flows. It's like a ship. If you think about a ship going in the ocean, you're just readjusting the pallets on the ship. Right, so if something's heavier, more expensive, it goes back to the middle, and something comes out the outside. You're not changing. Not everything is not going up because of the tariffs.
Right.
I guess is my point, and it's not affecting as negative as I think some of us feared it would or thought it would. So I don't think that's a major hurdle as maybe the Fed says it is, or other.
Let's hope not.
Looking forward to see it.
Yeah. Well, as always, we appreciate you guys watching and listening. Be sure to go check out the latest data brief with Eli on the tax. He gets into a lot more detail covering the new tax bill, and so that will probably help answer any questions that we didn't answer today. Appreciate you guys watching. Give us a like, subscribe, and we'll look forward to seeing you guys next week.
The hosts of the Market Moment podcast are employees of Mach 1 Financial Group, LLC. Mach 1 is a registered investment advisor located in Rogers, Arkansas. A copy of Mach 1's current written disclosure brochure is available through the SEC website and available at disclosures.mach1fg.com.